required for the execution of a particular instruction by 8085 processor. And normally you know that if the clock frequency is 3 megahertz, then time period will be of the order of few microsecond, 0.23 microsecond like that. So if instruction takes 40 state of time, so 4 into 0.33 means you can at least have the idea that my 8085 will take only few microseconds of time to execute the instructions. And now then we have discussed how to draw the timing diagram of an instruction. Timing diagram means whatever architectural help a processor will take during the execution of the instruction. So we'll show the graphically whatever signal value, whatever data, whatever address it transferred to the address data was and through different signals line. Representation of the value of those signals graphically is basically a timing diagram. So that also we have discussed. Now today we will discuss another issue that as we already know that today to execute a particular instruction processor takes only few microseconds of time. That means if we write a program consisting of few instructions, then you can understand after executing one instruction, second instruction will be executed only after few microseconds of time. So if we take an example, then it will be clear. Let me share. So the board is visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Suppose I have writing instruction, a sample instruction. Suppose I have taken MBI B02 like that, then MBI C03, then add, suppose the addition program, suppose I am writing V A comma B, then add C, suppose, then I am writing, suppose sub C like that, or sub B. Right. In this way, a program segment I have written. Now you know that how much time every instruction processor will take to execute the instruction. Suppose it is a 2-byte instruction MBI, you can calculate it includes 2 machine cycles of code fetch and memory read. So it is 4 plus 3, 70 state it needs. It is also a 2-byte instruction. Machine cycle is opcode fetch and memory read. So again 74 plus 3. This is a 1-byte instruction. It needs only opcode fetch machine cycle involved in it. Needs 40 state and again it is requires 40 state of time. This also takes 40 state of time. But my question is, suppose I am asking you, suppose these instructions are executed. So if I ask you, after executing add C, after how much time sub B will be executed? Meaning is, what is the time interval between the execution of these two instructions? So it is, as per the program written, it is clear that sub B will be executed after add C. But question is, after how much time of add C, sub B will be executed? So answer is, how much time processor will take for the execution of add C? That is the time interval between the execution of these two instructions. That means after that much of time, sub B will be executed. So as add C requires only 4 state of time, means of the order of few microseconds. That means we can say that sub B will be executed after few microseconds of add C. That means after the execution of add C, sub B will be executed by the processor only after few microseconds. Because processor will take this execution of add C, processor will take only few microseconds of time, 0.1 or 2 microseconds of time. So after 1 or 2 microseconds, sub B will be executed after add C. That is the But later on, you will find out for writing programming different program, you may find that you need a big time interval between the execution of these two instructions. You don't need 1 microsecond or 2 microsecond. Rather, suppose you need 1 millisecond of that much of time interval you need between the execution of these two instructions at C and something. Because suppose this is your requirement for writing a program, you are writing such a program that you need sub B should be executed after 1 millisecond of at C. This thing you need. You want this situation for some particular application, suppose this is required. But how you will get this solution? So if I write sub B after add C, then can you achieve this 1 millisecond time interval between the execution of these two instructions? No, you cannot get. Because you know that if I write these two instructions, if I write sub B after add C, time interval between these two instructions will be only few microseconds. Because add C will take only few microseconds of time for to execute. But you need a big time interval, 1 millisecond, a bigger time interval you need between the execution of these two events. Event means one is add C, another is something. Between these two instructions, you need a big time interval. Not few microsecond, you need some 1 or 2 millisecond time interval you want between the execution of these two instructions. Now the question is how you can achieve this a big time interval between the execution of two instructions. Normally, if I write one instruction after another, the time interval between the execution of these two instructions only few microseconds. You want a 1 millisecond time interval between the execution of these two instructions. So the question is how you will achieve this big time interval between the two events at C and C. So how we can achieve it? Can anybody suggest?
কোনো এফেক্ট করবে না।
Hello. হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ বলো।
হ্যাঁ স্যার ওটাই বললাম, মানে যেটাই মানে প্রোগ্রামটার কোনো রেজাল্ট এফেক্ট করবে না সেরকম কোন একটা কাজে তো যদি এটাকে ওই টাইম নেবে সেই ক্যালকুলেট করে অত টাইমের জন্য যদি লুপ করে দিই একটা এক্সাম্পল, যেমন স্যার এতে যেমন অ্যাকুমুলেটরে ধরুন 0 অ্যাড করলাম কিছু টাইম ধরে।
That means you are telling that if I have to achieve a time interval, big time interval of 1 millisecond between these two instruction or two events, about 1 millisecond, then how we can achieve it? For that you have to first think, if I need 1 millisecond time interval between these two events, then during this 1 millisecond of time, what my processor will do during that time interval? Because I know that processor take only few microsecond of time to execute ADC, and after 1 or 2 microsecond, processor will execute something. Its processor will always get busy in executing the instruction. But if you want a big time interval between these two instructions, 1 millisecond, then during this 1 millisecond of time, what processor will do? Processor will take only few microsecond of time to execute ADC. But after that, during this 1 millisecond of time, what processor should do? So normally what is done, it is suggested that in between these two events, let's say at C and sub B, if you need a big time interval, you should engage your processor in executing some many instructions so that those instructions will not having any effect in your entire program. That means you insert so many instructions in between. Suppose I need a time interval between sub B and at B, I need a time interval of 1 millisecond. So during this 1 millisecond, what processor should do? Definitely processor can only do one thing, he can execute instruction. So what you have to do, if you need a time gap between at C and sub B, you insert so many instructions. Here you instruction 1, instruction 2. In that way, instruction 3, you insert so many instructions. Which type of instruction? Those instruction is having no effect in your program. So you choose such instruction in between these two events so that those instruction is not having any effect in your entire program, but you will get a time interval between these two. How you will get a time interval? Because you know that to execute every instruction, processor will take some time. So you insert that many of instruction so that for the execution of this entire instruction, total time processor should need 1 millisecond of time to execute all those instructions. Then automatically you will get a 1 millisecond interval between these two instructions. So if I need such a situation of application, if it comes that we need a big time interval between any two events, like at C and Shanti, whatever I have told you here, then what to do? Between these two events, you have to insert some instructions which is having no relation with your program. And how many instructions you will insert? You have to insert that many instructions so that processor will take 1 millisecond. How that many? What you want 1 millisecond of time interval? So processor must take 1 millisecond of time to execute all these instructions you have inserted in between. That means during this 1 millisecond of time, you have to keep the processor busy in executing some instruction which is having no relation with your program. That thing you have to do. To achieve a big time interval between any two events, you insert any instruction in between these two, many instructions you insert so that for the, to execute all these instructions, processor will take your desired time interval like 1 millisecond. Because you know every instruction processor will take some time. So you insert so many. That means now if I ask you how many such instructions you have to insert, then you have to calculate. That suppose for very simplicity, if I take suppose for one instruction, processor for one instruction, suppose processor is for one instruction, processor is taking 1 microsecond of time. That means you need how many time interval? 1 millisecond. That means you calculate how many instructions you should insert here so that processor will take 1 millisecond, 1 millisecond of time. That means definitely you can understand this is 1 millisecond by 1 by millisecond means 1 into microsecond, so 10 to the power 3. 10 to the power 3 by 10 to the power 6 by 10 to the power 3. That means total 10 to the power 3 number of instructions you have to write. That means many instructions you have to write in between to achieve 1 millisecond of time. So then the question is, will you write so many instructions that 100 and 200 times or 1000 number of instructions in between to get 1 millisecond of time interval between two events? No, we will not do. Rather, whatever one of you are suggested, we know the technique. Instead of writing so many instructions, we will write only few instructions, but create a loop so that those instructions will be executed 100 times or 200 times. That means to get an time interval between any two events, basic solution is I have to insert so many instructions, but I cannot write 100 or 200 number of instructions in between. So I have to write a structured program here using a loop so that we can achieve 1 millisecond of time. So how can a simple loop, whatever one of you have suggested, suppose I have taken NBIEF0, simple loop, BCRE, jump not to 0, this. So means I have written this program in between these two. Why I have written? Because I have taken creating a loop so that those two instructions will be executed many times. That is, my processor will get busy in executing this loop for a long time. How much time? You know how to calculate. That I will show you how to calculate. So now then if I ask you how many times this loop will be rotated, that depends on the value of e. If you increase the value of e, this loop will be rotated many times. That means processor will take more time. If you decrease the value of e, this two instruction or this loop will be rotated lesser number of time. So that means time interval between these two events will become less. So depending on how much time interval you need, you have to choose or put the value of e here so that this number loop will be rotated many times to achieve more time interval. And if you put a lower value, the loop will be rotated lower time, so you will achieve a lower number time interval between these two events. And that structured program iterating using a loop to achieve a time interval between any two events, sometimes it is required. That program is basically in 8085 processor. We say this is nothing but this is a delay program. We can say it is called delay program. Delay program means just by creating a loop, we are intentionally insert a time delay between any two events. So if I have to get a time interval, achieve a time interval with some time between any two events, so we should insert a, now we can say, we should insert a delay program in between these two events. So that what is delay program? Nothing but a loop. So that whenever processor will execute this delay program, processor will take some time. So we will get a time interval between any two events wherever we insert this delay program. So this is the technique by which you, by inserting delay program, you can achieve a time interval between any two events during the execution of any program by the processor. Again, delay program, this structured delay program can be written in three different ways. One way is first, whatever you told, it is mentioned, delay program. In three different ways, you can write delay program. It is delay using single register. What is the program like that? If I, as I have written, MBI, suppose E, I have taken F0, then BCR E, now jump not to 0, you have to write the address here. This is a delay structure. Delay program means just a simple loop using single register. Why single register? Because I have taken how many times this loop will be rotated, that depends on the value of the single register E. Is that means I am creating a loop using a single register. Here I have taken E. You may take B, C, anything you can take. Now you have to calculate. If I write a delay program using single register like this, how much time delay I can achieve from this program? What is the meaning? Meaning is how much time processor will take to execute this entire program. That is the time delay. How much time delay this program can give you? How that it depends on that how much time processor will take to execute the entire program. That is the time delay. So now we have to calculate this time delay. For that, what we have to do? We have to first find out how much time processor should take to execute the individual instruction. Then we'll add it. That is the total time required for the execution of the entire program. That means first find out how much time in each instruction is taking, sum it, that is the total time required for the execution of instruction. Consider this instruction, just write it here. First tell me how much time processor will take for the execution of this MBI F0 instruction.
So 70.
Two machine cycle opcode fetch with 40 step and memory with 3 step, so total 70. Then write how much time this instruction processor will take.
So 20.
The DCRE, it is a 1 byte instruction, includes only opcode fetch machine cycle. Opcode fetch requires only 40. And JNZ basically here address 16-bit address is there.
30.
So this is a 3 byte instruction. This is a 3 byte instruction. Opcode fetch, 8-bit read, another 8-bit read. That means 2 memory read. Opcode fetch with 40 step, memory read with 3, another memory read with 3. 3 plus 3 plus 4, that means this is 10 step. And in 8085 processor, in case of this conditional branching instruction J and Z, you can find out in your book it is written 10/70, not 10T. Sometimes meaning is sometimes it will take 10T, sometimes it will take 70. Now when it will take 10T and when it will take 70, because it is a conditional branch instruction, if condition is satisfied, then it will jump here. And if condition is not satisfied, it will not jump, it will go down. It is mentioned that when this condition is satisfied and processor is branching here, during that time it will take 10 step. And last time when E becomes 0, this condition is not satisfied, so it will not jump, then it will go down. During that time, processor will take 70 state of time. Means if condition is satisfied in a conditional branch instruction and it jumps, processor take 10T. And always for this conditional branch instruction, last time condition will not be satisfied, it will not branch or jump, then it will take only 70. That means if we create a rotated loop, if I take a here instead of F0, suppose I am taking 5. 5 times loop will be reduced, 5 times these two instructions will be executed. So if I take 5, that means out of 5, 4 times this JNZ will take empty step, and last time, for the fifth time, this JNZ will take only 70 step. Because for the fifth time, this condition will not be satisfied, it will not jump, it will go down.
স্যার
হ্যাঁ
স্যার ওটা স্যার যদি জেএনজেটা স্যাটিসফাই না করে
হ্যাঁ
তাহলে তো স্যার অ্যাড্রেসটাও ফেচ করবে না, তাহলে স্যার এক্সট্রা 3 বাইটটা স্যার 3 বিটটা কোথা থেকে আসছে স্যার, মানে 3T-টা কোথা থেকে আসছে?
whenever change it, why people are actually why it is taking 70 statement 3 state less, that means an actual clear justification is not provided in any book. Reason is whenever JNJ opcode is fetched, first it will fetch the opcode, next 4T state it will take. Okay, opcode fetch 4T. So after that, what processor will do? After reading the opcode, it will decode it, and after decode, it will understand it is a branching instruction, conditional branching instruction. Processor has to check the condition of zero flag, and whenever processor will go to check the condition of zero flag, during that time, one memory read is already done. That means one memory read is already done, and whenever it will find that yes, Z flag is not satisfying the condition, during that time, already one memory read is already done, but second memory read will not be done. Automatically, program counter will be incremented to the next instance. That's why 70 is written, 3T state is not written, because during after fetching the opcode, whenever this processor will go to check the status of the zero flag, during that time already one memory read will be done. That's why it is taken 70. But whenever it finds that this condition is not satisfied, so second memory read it will not do. It will directly go to the next instruction. That's why it will take only 70 state of time for the last time whenever this condition of flag is not satisfied. Okay.
ওকে স্যার।
স্যার
So
এটা
now
আরেকবার বলবেন, বুঝলাম না। লাস্টের 3টা কি করে আসলো?
4T for because JNZ machine cycle is opcode fetch 4T, then one memory read 3T because it is a 16-bit address, then another memory read 3T. So first it will perform the opcode fetch. After opcode fetch, it is finding out, and decoding it is finding out it is a JNZ instruction. So processor has to check the status of zero flag. So whenever processor is going to check the zero flag, during that time, next memory read is also done. This memory read is already performed. That's why, but after that, processor finds that zero flag becomes 1. So he understands that he don't have to branch here. So he will not perform this memory read operation. So that's why it will take only 70 state of time. That means during the checking of zero flag, already next memory read is done. But whenever after checking the zero flag, processor takes a decision that yes, Z flag becomes 1, it is not 0. So then last memory read is remaining. So this memory read processor will not perform. It will go to the next instruction. That's why 4 plus T. Last time, whenever condition is not satisfied, it is taking only 70 state of time, not 10 state of time. Now we will calculate then how much time it will take to how much time processor will take to execute the entire instruction. To calculate.
হ্যালো স্যার,
Uh,
স্যার প্রোগ্রাম কাউন্টার বুঝলো কি করে স্যার লাস্টে স্যার একটা মেমোরি লোকেশন স্যার বাদ দিয়ে জাম্প করতে হবে?
whenever it finds that this JNZ instruction condition is not satisfied, then only program counter increments automatically by 1 to go to the next instruction. Okay, it jumps one place. whenever this condition is not satisfied, because after decoding and checking the zero flag, if condition is not satisfied, then only program counter will be incremented by 1 to go to the next instance. So now to find out the total time required for the
আচ্ছা
execution
স্যার,
of this
ও তো
instruction.
আগে লোয়ার বাইটটা নিচ্ছে না স্যার, তারপর হায়ার বাইটটা?
First lower byte, then higher order ALU.
স্যার তাহলে লোয়ার বাইটটা দেখে কি করে বুঝলো, মানে লোয়ার বাইটটা যদি জিরো থাকলো কোনো একটা
The
ইনস্ট্রাকশনে?
lower, after reading address, it is not taking decision. It is taking decision after checking zero flag. Address may be anything. It is reading lower order right way. That does not matter. It will not actually the processor will not use this address for its purpose because Z flag becomes one. It is not taking decision by looking the address. It is taking decision by looking the zero flag. JNZ means it is taking decision by checking the zero flag. If Z is one, then it will not jump. So it will go out. So it will take only 4 plus 3, total 70 state of time. It is not taking decision by looking the address. It is taking decision by checking the status of the zero flag.
স্যার তার মানে স্যার ব্যাপারটা যখন ও ওই মানে জেনজেটটা মানে অক্ষরটা ফেচ করলো, তারপরে তো স্যার যেহেতু চেক করেন এখনো জেটটা, তখন সেহেতু স্যার মেমোরি রিডটা অন আছে,
On
যখন
আছে।
দেখলে যে জিরোটা মানে ওটা জিরো হয়ে গেছে তখন
Z flag টা on হয়ে গেছে। Whenever it finds Z flag once, তখন next memory read টা আর করবে না।
ওই জন্য তখন স্যার মেমোরি রিডটা অফ করলে সেই জন্য স্যার এটা এক্সট্রা লাগতে থাকে।
Extra লাগবে। So now see how to calculate total time required for the execution of this instruction. For that you add all those. First see your instruction MBIE F0. How much time? 70. You write 70. How many times this instruction will be executed? This instruction will be executed how many times? In this program, how many times this MBIE instruction will be executed?
স্যার ওয়ান টাইম।
Once. It is once. So because it is not within the loop. So that means it will take only 70. Okay. Plus, now if you see this remaining two instruction is within the loop. That means these two instruction will be executed many times. Then what to do? First perform sum of these two instruction. How much time these two instruction, this instruction within the loop, how much time it is taking. TCRE is 40 plus. Now take for all time take 10t. Don't consider 70. For all time, that is all F0 times, I am taking JNZ is taking 10t. Okay, so total time 10t, total state within the loop. Then what we have to do? These two instructions will be executed how many times? F0 times. So you have to multiply it with F0, not F0 of course. You have to convert this because F0 is in hexadecimal. You have to convert it into decimal, then multiply because this is a decimal equation. But the data is there in E as F0, which is an hexadecimal data. Convert it into decimal and multiply with the loop instruction. Now, if you see, for all F0 times, I am taking JNZ takes 10 step, but you know, for the last time, it will take only 70 step. That means in the entire calculation, we have taken 3 step more because last time also we have taken JNZ is considering 10 step. For the simplicity of calculation, we have taken JNZ is always taking 10t. That means once we have taken here 3t step more, so subtract it minus 3t. Because last time JNZ will take only 70. So considering every time 10t I have calculated total time, last time you subtract 3t because last time JNZ will take only 70, not 10t. So minus 3t. So this is your total time required by the execution of this entire program. In this way, any program you have, you can calculate by just adding total time required for every instruction in this manner. Now, if I have been told, if you change this F0, if you change different value here, then total time will also get, if you increase this value, this time will increase. If you decrease this F0, means content of E, this total time also decrease because loop will be rotated lower number of times. Now, can you tell me that how much maximum time, maximum delay time, total time, this is total delay time actually it is called. So can you tell me that how much maximum delay I can get from this program? That depends on what?
The value of the MBI integer.
So what value we should take here to get the maximum delay?
স্যার FF।
To get FF. So that means if I take here FF, which is the highest value, then this program and multiply it with the decimal of FF, then calculate the time, then you have an idea that by using a delay program using single register, how much maximum time delay I can get. That idea you should have. So for that, what you have to do, take the maximum value at t, put it here, convert it into decimal, multiply it. You know the value of t, suppose 3 megahertz or any value it is given. Multiply t, then you calculate the total time. Then you can have an idea that a delay program using single register, how much time delay it can maximum give it. Suppose it is giving you maximum 1 millisecond. Suppose, let us assume maximum 1 millisecond means by considering its effect, this total time required for execution of this program is 1 millisecond. Meaning is, if anyone in your application it is required that you want a time delay of up to 1 millisecond, then only you can use this program. But suppose I need a time delay greater than 1 millisecond. So then can this program gives you greater than 1 millisecond? No. So that's why I told you, by placing a maximum value, you try to calculate the total time delay. You should have this idea so that you can understand how much maximum time delay I can achieve from this sort of program. If I need more time delay, definitely this program cannot help you. But another thing, whatever you mentioned, that if I take FF here, then I can get maximum time delay. But that is not properly correct. I can, if I take here 0, 0, can you say how much time, whether this loop will be rotated at all or not? I have taken it.
সে DCR হয়ে যাবে তো
That tell me whether this loop will be rotated at all or not.
হ্যাঁ স্যার হবে।
ইনফাইনাইট লুপ হয়ে যাবে।
Infinite loop.
না স্যার
Right.
ইনফাইনাইট হবে না।
স্যার DCR হলে তো স্যার ইয়ার ভ্যালুটা চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাবে তো স্যার।
How much will be this year is so like it. So initially you have taken e equal to 0, 0, 0 means you write it in binary. Then you perform DCR key means this is performing -1. Calculate how much you will get after performing it. What will be the value? Tell me. What will be the value after subtracting 1 here? Binary subtraction is
স্যার 0 হবে বড় 1
not 0.
নো
0 minus 1 means you borrow 2 from here. 2 minus 1 it is 1. Borrow, you return it 1 here. Again it is 0 minus 1. So borrow 2. 2 minus 1, 1. Again return 1 here.
স্যার
borrow.
1 1 1 1 1
That means it will be all the 1 with a borrow. So that doesn't matter. That is what is it? It becomes actually FF. So again this loop will be rotated. That means now you can find out if I write here FF, this loop will be rotated FF times. But if I take here 0, 0, how many times loop will be rotated?
FF plus 1
FF plus 1 time more. That means if I take here FF, it is not giving you actually the maximum time. If I take here 0, 0, this loop will be rotated 1 more. Because whenever 0, 0 means at the very beginning it decrement E and becomes FF. So that means this loop is rotating 1 times more rather than whenever you take FF in E. Okay. So in that way you calculate the total time delay achieved by this sort of program. But now suppose it is giving you only 1 millisecond of, let's assume maximum time delay from this program, whatever you achieve, this is only 1 millisecond. But if application is such that you need more than 1 millisecond of time, then what to do? So definitely this delay program using single register cannot give you more than 1 millisecond of time. Then what program we can write so that it will give us greater than 1 millisecond of time delay? Means processor will take more than 1 millisecond for the execution of the entire program. So can
স্যার
you
এই
suggest any
লুপটাকে দুবার চালিয়ে দেবো, যেটা লিখেছি ওটাকে আরেকবার চালিয়ে দেবো।
or another thing?
16 bit কোনো নাম্বার দিতে হবে।
16 bit also. Both of the solution, probable solution, whatever you told, both are possible. That means instead of taking a single register to store 8-bit data, why not we take a 16-bit register to store a 16-bit data and rotate the loop? Because 8-bit data means only FF is the maximum data. If I take that means loop will be rotated FF plus 1 time if I take 0. But if I, instead of taking a single register, if I take a register pair with 16-bit register, then high maximum more value we can store and the loop will be rotated many times. So that means program processor will take more time for the execution. That is done, and that delay program is called delay using register pair. Earlier it was single register, now it is delay using register pair. Then can you tell me what sort of program I should write to create a loop using register pair? You suggest the instruction.
স্যার LXI যে কোনো রেজিস্টার্ড পেয়ার।
Suppose LXI B, I have taken 2050, some data is taken, maximum I can take FFFF. Okay, then
স্যার DCX
DCX B, then
স্যার JNZ
JNZ here.
रोहन फंस गया ना।
That means it is creating a loop, but the problem is here that this DCXB is having no effect on zero flag. DCXB cannot change the content of zero flag because it is a 16-bit decrement operation. It is not actually done in one step. It is internally performed in two steps. That means 2 times subtraction is performed. That's why actual flag information is lost. That's why it is mentioned DCRB is a it is a decrement operation on single register. It is performed internally in the accumulator only once. So after performing decrement B, automatically depending on the result, flags are affected. But DCXB, it is not performed in one step in accumulator. It is performed in 2 steps. So whenever for DCXB 2 times subtraction is performed, so actual flag information is not reflected by the all flags. That's why it is mentioned DCXB cannot change the content of flag or cannot reflect the actual. It can change, but it will not give you exact information of flag and flags. That's why, but because you have written this instruction J and Z. Why you have written this J and Z? Because you think that after decrement B, when this content of BC becomes 0000, then you think that Z flag will be 1, and that's why you are using this J and Z instruction. When Z become 1, it will not rotate, it will go down terminal. You think in that way, then only you have used J and Z because you think that DCXB can change the content of 0 flag when it becomes 00. But the problem is DCXB cannot change this 0 flag even after BC becomes 00. Then my question is, can we use this J and Z instruction here after DCXB? If DCXB cannot change the content of Z flag, can we use this sort of conditional branch instruction depending on 0 flag after DCXB? Can we use it?
No, sir.
We cannot use it because we can only when we can use any conditional branch instruction after any arithmetic and logical instruction only if we know that these those instructions can change that particular flag. Then only we can use this sort of instruction. If I instead of here, if I write here DCRB, then J and Z, it is right. Why right? Because we know that decrement B can change the 0 flag. When B becomes 00, Z becomes 1. So it is a right way of using J and Z instruction after DCRB. But if we know that DCXB's operation on 16-bit data cannot have any effect on 0 flag, then we cannot use this J and Z instruction after DCXB because this instruction cannot properly rotate the loop because you will not get a proper flag information because BCX cannot change the content of zero flag. Then can you suggest then how to rotate or create a loop? Then there is a
Sir,
problem.
স্যার যদি বি আর সি দুটো রেজিস্টার মানে জিরোর সাথে কম্পেয়ার করা হয়,
That means after performing DCXB, as it is not affecting the zero flag, so we are not able to use the J and Z instruction. That means now you are thinking of some alternate way or using some other instruction. That is, you are considering some alternate way that how to change the content of zero flag when DC becomes 00 after DCXP. DCX cannot change the zero flag. So you are thinking of some other instruction if we can use here so that if DC becomes 00 after DCXB, then the Z flag will become 1. Somehow you have to make the Z flag 1 when DC becomes 00 after DCXB. And DCX cannot do that, so you are thinking some alternate way how to set the zero flag after DC becomes 0000 is by performing DCXB operation. Normally, compare is not done. It is other simple compare you can do, but a simple way is also there. Suppose if I tell you, you want that when condition is when DC is equal to 00, you need Z flag should be 1. That you want. Now tell me, if DC equal to 0000, what does it mean? It means is E is individually 0 and C is also individually 0. DC equal to 00 means B is individually 0 and C is also content of C is also 00. That means when both B content of B and C are 0, during that time I want Z flag should be 1. Is it clear? Means I'm talking because we are thinking of some alternate way of setting zero flag because D6 cannot set the zero flag. So how we are thinking that we know that DC becomes 00 means B is individually 0, C is individually 0. And already we know that what type of instruction can change the flag, logical or arithmetic instructions. Now tell me what sort of operation, you think of some logical operation I am talking. You think of some logical operation what I should do between B and C so that if B and C both are 0, during that time Z will become 1. You think of such instruction, then only it will set the 0 flag. A logical instruction you should think what we should perform between B and C so that its result will be 00. Result will be 00 if both are 0 and result will not be 0 if any one of them is a non-zero. Can you suggest any operation between B and logical operation between B and C so that it will produce 00 if both are 0 and it will produce a non-zero when any one of them or both of them are non-zero?
স্যার যদি বিটাকে এ তে নিয়ে নেওয়া হয় আর তারপর সি এর সাথে কম্পেয়ার করি,
Compare. You are talking compare. No, I am talking about.
sir, it's not.
Not as now. You simply perform OR operation. Simply perform B or C. When it can produce output equal to 0. Okay.
both zero হলে
Both 0. That you want. When B and C both are 0, you want output should be 0. And if it does OR operation, logical operation, then automatically Z flag will become 1. Then you can use the J and Z instruction. Meaning is after performing DCXB, if you want to set the 0 flag when DC becomes 00, you have to do think of some alternate way of setting 0 flag in this way just by performing a logical operation. That means now we can do it, write the instruction. That means after DCXB, I should perform OR operation between B and C. But you know OR operation cannot be performed between B and C. It's a logical operation. Out of both B and C, one of the operand must be shifted into accumulator first. Do it. You write MOV A, B. So B I have shifted into A. Then you write the instruction ORA C. Meaning is you are performing a logical operation so that indirectly you are able to set the zero flag when both B, C and A are zero. A means B. Now we can write the instruction J and Z. Here, DCX. That we can write. So indirectly we are setting the zero flag by performing a logical operation, just a OR operation, if as DCX is having no effect on flag. Is this clear? That is, with these two instruction, what I am doing? I am basically performing OR between B and C. And OR between B and C can generate zero only if both B and C equal to zero, means BC equal to zero. Then Z flag will be 1, condition will not be satisfied, it will go down. So loop will be terminated. And if out of B and C, if anyone is non-zero or both are non-zero, of course ORSC will not produce zero. It will produce a non-zero value. So Z flag will not be 1, it will be 0. Condition is satisfied and it will continue to rotate the loop. And once BC becomes 0, this OR operation results 0, Z flag will become 1. Loop will not be rotated, it will turn. So that is how indirectly a Z flag is affected, or change the value of Z flag is changed after DCXP. Now you can calculate the total delay time of this program.
আচ্ছা
So
স্যার ওখানে
individually you
কম্পেয়ার
write
করলে কি ভুল হয়ে
uh,
যেত মানে কম্পেয়ার সি লাগালে
no, ভুল হবে না. You can do it, but it is a more simple. Instead of comparing, if you use a ORSC, it is more simple. You can compare, but to compare with what?
স্যার বি এর ভ্যালুটাকে সি এর সাথে
No. So then how you will take the decision? I want whether both B and C are individually 0 or not.
স্যার
That's why I have performed the form.
যদি বি আর সিটা যদি দুটোই জিরো থাকবে তাহলে জিরো ফ্ল্যাগটা 1 হবে
No. By comparing B and C, how you will get the information that B, C both are 0? If I am comparing B with C. B is compared with C. So by comparing this, can you take the decision that both B and C, when both B and C becomes 0? You cannot. Either you can get the decision is B is equal to C, B is greater than C, or B is less than C.
হ্যাঁ
That
স্যার
much
মানে ওই
information.
বি এর ভ্যালুটাকে আগে এ তে নিয়ে যেরকম আপনি করলেন তারপর সিএমপি সি যদি করি
No,
হবে
then same thing. I am taking B. Now we are comparing A with C. So after comparison, can you find out the decision that both A and C, when both B, A and C are 0? You cannot get information from compare instruction. Because compare can tell you either A is equal to C, A is greater than C, or A is less than C. But it cannot tell you whether A is an absolute value, it cannot tell you that A is 0 or C is 0. You cannot get this information only performing this sort of comparison. Then you have to perform comparison twice. Take the content of B in A, compare with 0. Again take the content of C in A, immediate instruction CPI 0 again do. If both are true, then you can tell that yes, it is BC equal to 0. So 2 times you have to perform comparison.
আচ্ছা স্যার তার
And
জায়গায়
there we
সাবট্রাক্ট
can
করা যাবে সাবট্রাক্ট করে দেখি যদি জিরো আসে মানে
no,
একই জিনিস যাই হোক
after how you will do it? B minus C. You cannot do. B minus C means can you get the decision is B equal to 0 or C equal to 0? No. Subtraction cannot give you it can produce only the result, subtraction result, but it cannot tell you either B equal to 0 or C equal to 0 at the same time. It cannot. Here either you have to do comparison twice with 0 or with the content of B, compare B with 0 again C with 0. If both are true, then you can say BC equal to 0. That you can do. That comparison you have to do in twice. But here using array logical instruction, you can directly check whether both the content of B and C are 0 simultaneously or not. Okay. So now calculate the time, entire total delay time you can achieve from this program. How much time this instruction can take? LXI P2050. How much
Sir,
time will
10,
elapse?
10 T states.
10 T state because 3 machine cycle involved output fetch, memory read, memory read. DCXB, it is only one machine cycle output fetch, but whenever I told you the output fetch will normally take 40 state of time, but there are some exceptions where output fetch will take more time rather than 40. Which sort of instruction? This sort of 16-bit operation always take output fetch with more key state. These instructions, remember, you have to remember it. This will take 60 state of time. Output fetch, only one machine cycle, but it is not taking at 40. This output fetch requires 60 because this is a decrement operation on 16-bit data. That's why it will take some more time, and it is in 8085 processor, it is mentioned it will take 60. Though only one machine cycle output fetch, but it is output fetch with 60 state. Okay. Then this is a simple 1 byte instruction, output fetch 40, ORSC also 40, JNZ, you know, it is 10 slash 70. Now calculate total time. First 10T, you add all of them. 10T. How many times this instruction will be executed? Only once, so it will come only once. Plus, whatever are the instruction within the loop, first sum all the time for all those instructions. Write it 60 plus 40, all the loop instruction. And change it every time you take 10T. So this is the instructions within the loop. Then how many times this loop will be rotated? Whatever is the value, that means multiplied by 2050, it is in hexadecimal, convert it into decimal, then multiply. Then how much? Then last time for J and Z, every time you are taking 10, that means you are taking 3 step more, you take minus 3. So here also that means you can understand delay using register pair can give you more time delay rather than single register, because in single register you can maximum put your FF times this loop can be multiplied, but here it is FF. More times this loop will be rotated, so this processor can take more time for the execution of this program, so you may get a bigger time delay from this sort of loop. So by putting FF you can calculate the total time delay. But if it is mentioned, in this way you can calculate, if it is mentioned that you write a, suppose it is mentioned, write a, suppose 1 millisecond or 1.5 millisecond delay program. Then how you write a 1 millisecond delay program? Which, because that means either you have to write delay using single register or you have to write delay using register pair. Then which one you should choose? See, that's why I have told you, by placing a maximum value here, you calculate total time delay for single register and register pair. Then you should have an idea that which program can give you maximum quad delay. If you find that single register cannot give you 1 millisecond, 1.5 millisecond of time, but this program can give you, so you write this program. But question is, whenever you write this program to get 1.5 millisecond of time, what value you should store here in the DC register pair? I have taken a arbitrary value 2050. My question is, from this program to get 1.5 millisecond, a specific time delay from this program, what value you should choose? Because depending on this value, this time total delay will be changed. If I take more value, more time delay, less value, less delay. But I need a specific delay 1.5. Then what value I should take here? Can you tell me what value I should take here to get 1.5 millisecond of delay? Can anybody suggest what value I should take here to get 1.5 millisecond of delay from this program? Hello.
Sir, calculate the detailed value that
Exactly. You calculate from this equation. This equation can give you. Now in this equation, you know this value. This is 1 millisecond. You convert it into second. Convert it into second. Okay. And now, what is this 2050? The value you want you store in BC register pair. So this is your unknown to you. So you put it here x multiplied by x unknown. Now you can see in this entire equation everything is known, only x is unknown. So you calculate the value of x from this equation. So in what number system you will get the value of x? Yeah, of course decimal number system, because you have all simply multiplied it with x and all these values are in decimal number system. So after calculating the value of x, convert it into hexadecimal, put it here. In that way only you have to calculate. Because in your program, two ways, two options may be there. Either you have been given a program and told you to calculate the delay, or in this same equation you can use, or you may be told that I need 1 millisecond time delay. Write a program by choosing a suitable value here. Then in that equation only you take this delay, whatever you have been given, convert it into second, and take the value whatever you want to store in register pair as unknown x, find out the x value from this equation in decimal. It will come in decimal, convert it into hexadecimal and write it here. In that way only you can get the value of BC register pair which you have to store there to get a specific delay like 1 millisecond or 1.5 millisecond. And another option is there, whatever you are suggesting that using two loop, we can write a delay program. That is also possible. It is called delay using loop within a loop. Because I told you three mechanism techniques are there in writing loop. One is delay using register pair, delay using single register, and this technique is delay using loop within loop. That is also possible. That means we have to use loop, one loop within another loop. See, using single register. So I am taking two registers, suppose NBI C, suppose I am taking 05. Another register, suppose I am taking NBI B03, suppose I am taking. Okay. Now I am creating a loop for B, BCR B, J and Z, write address here. Okay. That means I have created a loop with the help of register B. Then I will create another loop with the register C also. Then after that I will write BCR C, then J and Z here. That means I have created a two loops I have created. This loop and this loop. The one, this loop is within this outer loop. Loop within loop. That is why it is called loop within loop. So in that situation, this program can also give you a bigger time delay, because can you suggest that how many times this loop, this particular loop will rotate in a loop?
Three times.
Three times? Three times? No. Check it carefully. How many times this loop will be rotated?
05 into 03.
05 multiplied by 03, because for every value of C,
अजब आदमी है.
this loop will be rotated three times. Because initially C is 5, E 3, this loop is rotated three times, of course. After that you see decrement C, when C becomes 04, then J and Z is coming where? NBIB, again B becomes 03, so this loop will be rotated again three times. That means for every value of C, inner loop will be rotated three times. So as I have taken 5 in C, that means this inner loop will be rotated B multiplied C, means 5 multiplied 3 times. So that means this program can also give you more time delay. Because in B and C you can take maximum FF, that means inner loop can be rotated FF multiplied by FF. That many times this inner loop will be rotated. So this also give you a bigger time delay. I will not calculate here. In the same way I have calculated the total delay. You please calculate total delay this program can give you. That equation you write how much time maximum delay we can get from this sort of program, which is called delay using loop within loop. So these are the three techniques of writing delay program, and this delay program is nothing but a structured program which is inserted between any event, any two event, whenever it is required in writing program. to get a time delay between them. So if I need it, later on, I will take a specific example also later on in later class. You will see whenever we take a specific example for writing program, where delay program is basically used. Delay is essential here. That's what a program also later on we will discuss. There it will be clear because you may think why intentionally we will put a delay in between any two events. Because this is required sometimes. If it is required, then how will you write? Any three technique out of these three, any one technique you can use depending on how much delay you want. If you want very less delay, single register can help you. If you want a bigger delay, either register pair or loop within loop. Both are there. Anyone can you can use to get a bigger time. But later on we will definitely discuss some specific example where this sort of delay program is basically used. Now, another thing today we'll discuss because in whenever I discuss the internal architecture of 8085 processor, there I have told you that there are and you have seen there is an internal register which is labeled as 16-bit internal register which is labeled as SP 16-bit register. It is called stack pointer. You know this is stack pointer and during that time very briefly I have told you the purpose of this stack pointer because it is the utility of this stack pointer internal register is if you want to use stack or if you want to use the stack memory, then the address of the stack you have to mention in the stack pointer register. What is stack? Because sometimes during the execution of program, it is required to store the data temporarily in memory, and you have to collect it also that data later on. For that purpose, to store data temporarily during the execution of program, normally people use a stack memory and for how processor because to store data in the memory. But again, you know that actually in stack any memory, it may be stack memory or normal read write memory, data will be stored, but it will not store. It will be stored by the processor. So once you want to declare a stack memory, but stack memory will be used by the processor to store some data. So if you want to use stack memory, you must inform it to the processor also. Because without knowing where the stack memory is, it is not possible for the processor to store data there. Anything you want to do, it must be clear to the processor because ultimately it is the processor who will perform all the operation. Either you want to store data in the stack or you want to store data in the memory because you have seen if I want to store data in the memory using the instruction MOV M, A, this instruction we have used to store a simple data in memory using MOV M, A. But how processor will know what is your M? Means address of M. For that we have used HL register pair to store the address before it. That means we are making clear to the processor that yes, this is the address where you have to store the address data of accumulator. So similar way, if I have a memory which is I have defined as stack, and there I have told you stack is not a separate memory chip. Whatever memory chip you have connected with your processor to store your program, to store your data, a part of this memory you have to declare a stack for temporary data storage. But whenever you declare a part of the memory as a stack to store data, so this information you must pass to the processor that yes, this is my stack. This is my stack means this is the address of my stack. Because without knowing the address of stack, processor cannot use stack to store data. And that address of the stack is basically provided to the processor in the stack pointer register. That is why the stack pointer register is there inside the processor. So that inside this stack pointer register, you have to store the address of the stack, whatever you declare. And once you store the address of the stack, then processor will know, yes, this is the address of stack. Now if you want to store data in the stack, processor can able to store it. Because but without knowing the address of stack, processor is not able to store data in the stack. That's why stack pointer register purpose is to store the address of the stack. And whenever we uh, discuss during the internal architecture description, there I told you that if suppose I have a memory, I have a memory chip. This is suppose my memory chip, entire memory chip. Suppose its address is starting address is 8000, last address is FFF. Suppose this part or this memory chip only I have connected with my microprocessor. So what is the purpose of this memory chip? Basic purpose is I will store my program here. If I have to store some data, I will store it there. So that is my normal read write memory I have connected here. But suppose for some application, it is required that I have to declare stack. Means I have to store data temporarily during the execution of program. So I instead, in place of normal read write memory, I need an additional facility of stack memory. Then what is how you can use stack or declare stack in this same memory chip? It is mentioned a part of this memory chip you take and use it as a stack memory. So suppose I think, so which part I will take normally? Because this is the entire memory chip. Any part of the memory chip, this part, any part means by taking few register, you declare it as a stack. Anything you can do. But normally what people do, people use the last portion of the memory, that is this part of the last part of the memory people use to use as a stack. End part. Why? I will discuss the reason also later. But what people normally do, the last part of the memory chip, because it is starting address is 8000, end address is FFFF. If I want to declare some register of the memory as a stack, then I should take the lower part of the memory chip. I should not take here. It is suggested that you should take the end few register at the end part of the memory chip as a stack. Suppose I think that I will use, so this is suppose FFF0 to FFFF I thought I will use as a stack. Okay, last part I have taken. And in stack memory, during that time also I have told you characteristics in stack how data will be stored into stack. It is stack is just like a book stack. If this is my stack, first data will be stored here, one after another. Then second data will be stored here. Third data will be stored here. That means if I want to, so that means I want to, if I want book stack, one after another data, book has been kept same way in the stack, data will be stored one after another starting from the bottom. That means because first data will be stored at the very end last register. This is the first data you have to store. Then second data you have to store here. Third data you have to store here. That means stack memory will increase in this direction. It is FF, it address is FFFF, it is address is FFFE in this way. So if we go on storing data into stack memory after declaring, then stack memory will increase in the upward direction. But this is just the opposite of the normal memory, because in normal memory you know that this memory will increase in the downward direction. Downward direction means starting from the lower address value to higher address value. Like this. That means if I store my program in this normal memory, what I should do? The first instruction or of code I will store here. Second data will be stored here. Third data will be stored here. Fourth instruction will be stored here. That means if I go on storing data in the memory one by one, in normal memory, this memory will go on increasing in this direction. Increasing means if I go on storing data, address will go on increase. But in stack, the operation is just opposite. In stack memory, the mentioned data will be stored just like a book stack, one after another, starting from the bottom. First data you have to store here, then here, then here. In stack will increase in the upward direction, but normal memory will go on increasing in the downward direction if we go on storing data there. And it is also called last in LIFO type memory, first out type memory, last in first out type memory. You just think of book stack. Suppose I have kept three book here, means three data here in the stack. Now later on I want to collect this book which is stored here. Then what to do? First I should remove this book. then I should remove this book, then only I can reach to this book to achieve it. Same thing here. If I have stored three data in the stack and later on I want to get this data, I cannot get this data directly. If I want to get this data, I must out this out means retrieve this data first, then this data, then only I can take out this data first. That's why it is mentioned, it is a last in, first out type memory. Out of these three data, which data I have stored here first? Stored means in. First I have stored this data, then second data, then third data. That is third data is stored last. So if I want to out data, means retrieve data from the stack, I must out this third data first because it is at the top of the stack. That's why it is called last in, first out. Whatever data is stored in the stack last, that data must be out first to collect data or retrieve data from any stack memory. So that is the characteristics of the stack memory. It is a last in, first out memory. Data will be stored just like a book stack, one after another, starting from the bottom. Later on, if you want to retrieve data, you have to retrieve all the top data, then only you can reach to the bottom data. That means data which you have stored last, you have to out it first. You cannot directly access this. Like your normal memory. Normal read write memory, you have stored so many data. Suppose, later on, suppose whatever data is there at 8002, I want to retrieve it. You can directly write LXI age 8002, then you can write MOV, suppose B, N. That is, this data will directly come into B. Random access. It is a random access type memory. So that is anywhere, any memory register you can directly access, but it is not possible for whenever once you declare it as a stack, the operation of the stack is defined in a microprocessor in such a way that you cannot randomly access any data from stack. You have to follow the process, last in, first out. This process you have to follow to get or achieve or retrieve the data from the stack. The data which you will store last, first out it, then you go to the next data, out the next data in this way. Okay. Now, another question is, once you think that you will declare this part of the memory as a stack, now whatever you think, it is not sufficient for or enough to the processor to work with it, because whatever you are thinking, you have to inform it to the processor. Because ultimately, you will not do the work, actual work will be done by the processor. So if you think this is mine, I want to use this part as a stack, I must inform this information to the processor. Where? In the stack pointer register. So in stack pointer register, normally what is done, the last address of stack is stored. The last address of the stack, whatever, because I thought I will use this part of the memory as a stack. So starting address is FF00, last address or end address is FFFF. So which one is normally defined in the stack pointer? In the stack pointer, the last address of the stack is normally stored. That means if I store SP equal to FFFF, once I store it, means I am defining the processor where the stack is by storing the last address of the stack in the stack pointer. You store it, but what processor will understand out of it? Processor, once you store some address in the stack pointer, processor will understand that this is the last address of the stack. Meaning is, from this address onward in the upward direction, the registers can be used as stack to store data temporarily. Because you have stored the last address of the stack in the stack pointer. Meaning is, processor will understand from this address FFFF onwards in the upward direction, the registers can be used as a stack to store data temporarily during the execution of the program. Then the question is, if it is a stack pointer, last address you have stored and then you are going to store data. But you think that you will use the register from FF0 to FFFF as a stack. So my question is, if you want to declare a region as a stack, which is having an end address and start address, how processor will understand which one is your starting address of the stack? because you have defined only the last address of the stack. But you thought that FF80 should be the first address or and starting address of my stack memory, which part of the memory which I want to use as a stack. But my question is, how processor will know that FF80 this is your up to that part only you can use as a stack. So that means this start address also somehow you have to supply to the processor, because you have defined the last address to the processor in the stack pointer, but you have not still defined the or supplied the starting address of the stack to the processor. If you be able to supply the starting address FF0 to the processor, then processor it will be clear, yes, this is my starting address and this is the last address of the stack. But the problem is that inside 8085 processor, there is not multiple stack pointer register. You have seen there is only one SP. So if there are two SP register, probably you may able to store the start one in one SP. You can able to store the starting address, and another stack pointer you may be able to store the end address, so that you can define a region for stack. But problem is in 8085 there is only a single stack pointer register, and in that stack pointer register it is mentioned to store only the last address of the stack. Then the problem is that which one is where is the limit of stack? Actually, to the 8085 processor, there is no limit, upper limit of the stack, because you are not able to define this or supply this address or define this address to the processor. You have only stored the last address to the SP, because you have only one SP. So, and you have stored the last address of the SP, meaning is you have told the processor, this is my last address of the stack. You can use all the register in the upward direction as a stack. There is no upper limit. You cannot limit this upper limit. You cannot provide to the 8085 processor. Meaning is there is no restriction of the upper boundary of stack memory. Only you can tell the last address, but which one is the upper address or starting address? It is not possible to define. Meaning is all the register from effect in the upward direction, processor can use as a stack. Then the problem is, you know, that if processor can able, if I cannot limit the starting address of stack, and already I have told you stack will increase in this direction, so stack will grow up in the upward direction, and there is no upper limit. All the register processor can use as a stack. Then what problem will come? Problem may come because same memory chip you have used to store your data, to store your program. Suppose there are some program already stored in the memory, and stack is going on increasing in the upward direction without any limit. So it may happen that whenever you are going to store data in the stack, whenever it reaches to the program region, suppose it reaches to the program region, here your program is stored. But during where your program is stored, stack again increases in the upward direction, and when it reaches to the program region, what happens? Your programs will go on deleting, because in stack processor is storing data, and when it reaches to the program region and processor is storing data in the stack, meaning whenever new data is coming, your old program data will go on deleting. That problem exists in 8085 processor. Why this problem is exist? Because you are not able to provide an upper limit of stack. You can only tell that is the last address of the stack, but you cannot tell the processor which one is the starting address of the stack. Processor can use all the memory, all the register in the upward direction as a stack. And if processor do that, and if he go on storing data in the stack, and it go on increasing in the upward direction, so and in the same memory there are program are stored. So when stack after increasing in the upward direction, if it reaches the program region, means where your program is stored, so your program will go on deleting. So that problem actually persists in this 8085 processor. Then how to resolve this problem? Can anybody suggest how to resolve this problem so that stack will increase, but my program will not be deleted? That is why the solution is there is no logical solution. physically that solution you user have to do. Do the solution physically. There is no logical solution to the processor because to the processor there is no upper boundary of the stack. That's why what people normally do, it is suggested that as you are using a single memory chip to store your program to use it as a stack, it is normally suggested that you store your program, store your data from the very beginning of your memory chip from 8000 and a huge stack not anywhere in the memory chip. That's why I have told you the last address of the memory is normally defined as a last address of the stack. It is mentioned you store your program from the beginning and define stack from the at the very end of your memory chip, so that there is a huge physical gap between your memory program region and stack region. And in stack, definitely processor will store some data. And as you have made a huge physical difference, so there is a minimum chance that this stack region will interfere with the program region because there is a huge gap you have made physically. How? By storing the program from the beginning and declaring the stack at the end. So huge gap, physical gap you have provided, so that there is a minimum probability of interfering the stack with program. That's why I told you processor cannot resolve this. You have to resolve the issue by providing a huge physical gap between your program memory and stack memory.
হ্যালো স্যার,
And
আরেকবার
that is
বলবেন
a
এই ফিজিক্যাল মেমোরিটা কি বুঝলাম না, আরেকবার বলবেন?
this is a total memory chip. So how many registers? Many registers, 64K suppose are there. Okay. So you normally what you should do, if you have to store your program or store your data, you start storing your program from the very beginning. Okay, from the beginning of the memory chip. And if you have to use stack, declare stack at the end of the memory chip. Now you see, if this is my starting address of the program and if this is the last address of my stack, then how many registers are there in between? To the power 16. That this huge gap is there. So in stack, normally processor will store how many data? Few data it will store. So stack will increase. But it is a minimum probability will be there that after going on increasing stack in the upward direction, it will reach the program region because program is there at the very beginning and stack you have start storing data from the end. So there is a physical gap, huge physical gap in between program and stack. Because why I have provided, we have to provide a physical gap between this program region and stack region because processor cannot resolve this issue because we cannot limit the upper limit of stack. Problem is, suppose I have declared instead of FFFF, somebody uses suppose 8005 as a stack pointer. Then tell me what problem will come. Instead of declaring FFFF, then only it will be clear. This 28003, 8004, 8005, and this is your FFFF. And now somebody declares or stores 8005 in SP. What does it mean? Processor will understand 8005 is the last address of the stack. That means this is the last address. Meaning is processor can use all the register in the upward direction from 8005 in this direction to use as a stack to store the data. Clear? And suppose you have already stored, written your program here from 800 to 8003. Here, the program is stored. Now, if I ask you, what is the physical gap between your whatever stack you have declared, stack and program region? Only 2 registers. Only there is a gap of 2 registers. That means there is a high probability that if processor stores some data into the stack, only 2 data he can only store. And if he store, after storing 2, if he store another data, where it will go? It will go to your program region and your program will go on deleted. That means there is a huge probability of reaching the stack memory to the program region. That's why instead of declaring 8005, if somebody declares here FFFF, this is the last address of the stack and writes programs here. Now tell me, what is the gap between this, your program, last line of the program and stack? Huge gap. So many registers are there, and there is a minimum probability that stack will increase in this direction. But how come? 10, 15, 12, 20 data. So there is a minimum probability that this stack will reach to the program region. That I am talking about. That as processor cannot separate or solve this problem, so you provide a huge physical gap between your program and stack by declaring stack at the very end of the memory chip and storing your program or data from the very beginning of the memory chip. So huge physical gap, minimum probability of reaching stack into the program region. That thing you have to do. You should not declare stack pointer at the very middle of the memory chip. Then there is a problem. Then you have to think. There is a probability of high probability that your stack may reach to the program region and program will go on with it. Okay. So that is that physical separation you have to do physically. But now see, I will describe how data will be. This is the technique, the process of declaring stack. But question is, processor will store data into the stack. But how? Because we have declared stack for what purpose? So that processor can able to store data into the stack. But question is how processor will store data into the stack? For that, definitely processor should execute some instruction to store the data into the stack. So that instruction we will first discuss. What are the instructions available to store, so that by using this instruction, processor will be able to store data into the stack. And for that, the instruction which is available, that is instruction which is available, that is push instruction. Upcode is push.
হ্যালো স্যার, স্যার বলছি যে ওই যে লোকেশনটা আপনি দিলেন FFFF, ওটা কি ওই রেজিস্টার যেরকম আমরা দিই ওরকম দিলেন?
রেজিস্টারে মানে
মানে যেরকম আমরা এ বি এইরকম রেজিস্টারে যেরকম দিতাম লোকেশনটা, বা
no, AB register you have never provided address of A. A is internal register.
হ্যাঁ স্যার, মানে ওই
And this
মানে LXI করে যেরকম বি দেওয়ার পর যেরকম অ্যাড্রেসটা দিতাম ওরকম করে এই জিনিসটা কি?
exactly that address. This is the address of the memory register, not internal register. Address of memory register. FFF.
আচ্ছা স্যার, তাহলে
That you have
এসপিটা কি মানে প্রোগ্রামের কাছে অ্যাভেলেবল আছে?
available. That you can, that I will tell just now. Then as you have to store, if you want to store this, because you have to define FFF, you have to store in XP. How? By using some instruction. Same instruction which you use normally in LXI instruction. I have told you the register here is the operand. There is the SP operand is also possible. That means here you have to write LXI SP comma FF FF. That means FF FF will be stored in SP using this instruction. Same instruction LXI B C D whatever you have used. Same instruction will be used to the same instruction will be used to store data or a 16-bit address into the stack pointer register to declare stack. So LXI SP FF means FF will be stored into the stack. So that is how you can define stack. But now we'll define what are the instructions available to store, how processor will store data into the stack. We have defined stack, okay. But how processor will store data into the stack? By executing some instruction, and that instruction is push. Its operand is register pair. This operand. So in specific, if I write push B, its meaning is content of PC register pair will be stored into stack. So if you execute push B, meaning is you are instructing the processor to B means BC register pair, because for push instruction operand is always register pair. You have instructed the processor to store the content of BC register pair into the stack. So how this instruction will store the BC register pair content into the stack? It will store the content of BC register pair into stack by internally following four different steps. I will discuss this four step today, how push instruction will be executed internally by the processor. But remember, whenever in any program you use push instruction, so whenever you use push, means push instruction will store the content of internal register into stack. That means before using this sort of instruction, you must define stack. Otherwise, this instruction is meaningless. Because this instruction will use stack. So if processor do not know where the stack is, to the processor it is not possible to store BC into stack. That's why before using this sort of instruction, you must define stack. How? By storing the last address of the stack in the stack. That means this instruction must be there before this sort of push instruction. Okay. So now I will define how push instruction internally will do. For that, suppose I am defining the stack by writing stack pointer as ff, suppose. Then I am writing push b. Now combining these two, there is a meaning. Because you have defined stack where the stack is, this is the last address of the stack. Now you are instructing the processor to store the BC content into the stack. So how it will be done? I will draw the stack immediately. Once you define stack, I will draw some register in the stack. Suppose this is my stack memory. So what is the address of this register? Can you say? What is the address of this register in the stack? Because you have defined the last address of SP, you have stored as FFFF. So now take 2, 3 address in the upward direction. That is FFFE, that is FFFB, FFFC, like that. It is increasing. FFFB, like that. Okay. Now see how push instruction will store the content of BC into this stack memory by following 4 different steps internally by push. First step is, at the very first step, initially what happens, whenever processor will execute this push instruction, at the very beginning, this stack pointer will be decremented by 1. SP will become SP minus 1. What is SP? Initial value of SP, FFFF. That means this SP is pointing here. But whenever push instruction is executed, at the very beginning stack pointer is decremented by 1. That means this stack pointer value will become FFFE. That means it is coming here. FFFE. Then the second step is, then it will store the content of higher order register into top of the stack. Store the content of higher order register into the top of the stack. Why I have written content of higher order register? Because your task is to store the content of register pairs. 16-bit. But your 8-byte processor is a 8-bit processor. See, he cannot transfer 16-bit data. It may be in normal memory, it may be in stack memory. He cannot store 16-bit data in the memory once in one step. He has to perform in 2 steps. So first what it will do, after decrementing the stack pointer by 1, it will store the content of higher register first into the top of the stack. Now another term I have written here, very important term, top of the stack. What is the meaning of the top of the stack? Basically, presently where the stack pointer is pointing, that is the top of the stack. At any time where the stack pointer is pointing, that is treated as a top of the stack. Stack pointer is pointing means what is the present value of stack pointer? That is the top of the stack. Now tell me, during step 2 for push instruction, what is the top of the stack now? Means which address is the top of the stack now?
Sir,
Sir,
FFFE.
FFFF.
FFFE, because stack pointer is initially decremented by 1 from FFFF, it becomes FFFE. That means now the top of the stack is FFFE. That means in this top of the stack, that means here, this is the top of the stack, where stack pointer is last pointing. So in that address or register, what data will be stored? Higher order content. What is the higher order content of BC? Content of B will be stored here. Third step is, again stack pointer will automatically be decremented by 1. That means what will be the value of stack pointer now? It is FFFD. Now if I ask you, it is decremented by 1. Now if I ask you, after step 3, what is the top of the stack?
It's FFFD.
FFFD. And now what happens? It will store the content of lower order register into the top of the stack. That completes the push operation. Now after decrementing the stack pointer by 1 again, store the content of lower order register. Lower order means C. In case of push B, it is C. So content of C will be stored where? At the top of the stack. Now what is the top of the stack? See what is the last value of stack pointer. Stack pointer is FFFD, it is pointing here. So that is the top of the stack. In that register, memory register, content of C will be stored. And that completes the push operation of push instruction. That means in the entire push operation, you can understand stack pointer will automatically be decremented by 2. At the very beginning, it is decremented by 1. Store the higher order content into the top of the stack. Again, stack pointer is decremented by 1 and store the lower order register content into the top of the stack. So stack pointer is decremented by 2 in one push B operation. And now you can see data is stored one after another. After first it will, and again it definitely it follows the convention of 8085 memory, how processor store data in the memory. Because I have told you, in whenever you store your program, suppose LXI H2050, how you will store it? There you, where LXI H first you will store the opcode, then which data you will store first? Out of 2050, which one you will store first?
Lower order.
Lower order. Why lower order? Because it is the convention that lower order content of lower order register or lower order data will be stored in lower address, memory address. Here also you can see it is followed because you have to store the content of BC. B is the higher order register, C is the lower order register. In which memory register it is stored? This. See the address. It is FFFD. This is FFFD. This address value is low. Here lower order content is stored. This address is high, higher value. Here higher order register content is stored. So that convention is again followed here also. That higher address and in high address value, higher order content will be stored, and in lower address, lower order register content will be stored. After that, after push B, suppose you have used another instruction, push D. After that only, after push B, somebody has executed an instruction push D. Meaning is, you want to store the content of DE register pair into stack after push B. Then where this D register will be, content will be stored into the stack memory. Follow this 4 step and store again. So at the last, after push B, if I ask you, after push B, what is the value of stack pointer?
FFD.
FFFD, right? FFFD is the value of stack pointer, right? Then you have executed push D. This 4 step will be followed. This is FFFD. What is the first step? SP will be decremented by 1. That means it is coming here. That is the top of the stack now. What data will be stored? Content of higher order register will be stored. Which is the content of higher order register? Definitely D. Then again stack pointer will be decremented by 1. It is coming here. Now the top of the stack is FFFD. So in that register state 4 is lower order content key will be stored. That means after push D, what is the top of the stack? FFFD, because last address in the stack pointer is FFFD. So data is stored one by one after another, just like storing a book in stack. In that way, so many times you will execute the push instruction. Data will be stored one after another. So stack memory is increasing in this upward direction as you uh, execute the push instruction multiple times. Data will be stored one after another. So memory stack memory will go on increasing in the upward direction. So this is how push instruction will store the content of register pair if it is required into the stack. In the next class, I will discuss, because storing, you have stored data temporarily in the stack. Definitely you want to retrieve this data, collect this data again. Then how the processor will collect or retrieve data from the stack to the internal register. So another instruction is available, that is pop instruction. So in the next class I will describe the pop instruction is there to collect or retrieve data from the stack to the internal register. As push is used to store data from internal register to stack. Later on, if you want to retrieve data from stack to internal register, you have to use a push instruction, a pop instruction. So in the next class, I will describe the pop instruction and so many other issues related to stack. Okay, so today we have to conclude here. If you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, we will conclude.
স্যার বলছি একদম লাস্টে যেটা মানে এফ সেটাতে মানে স্টোর করা যাবে না কোনো
Never. You are right. Whatever address you will define in the stack pointer register initially, you have defined FFFF in the stack pointer initially. In that address, it is not possible to store any data. It is because of the mechanism of storing data in the stack is such that before storing data, stack pointer is decremented by 1 plus. That means any value you initialize before storing data, SP is decremented fast. That means in that register, it is not at all possible to store any data. Clear? Because the operation of this mechanism of push instruction is such that before storing, it is decrementing the address. So how is it possible to store data here? It is not possible.
স্যার যদি 2 নম্বর স্টেপটা 1 নম্বরের আগে হতো আর 4 নম্বর স্টেপটা যদি 3 নম্বরের আগে হতো তাহলে কি সম্ভব হতো?
क्या बोल रहा है
কোনটা?
স্যার আগে স্টোর করলো তারপর স্যার পয়েন্টার মানে ডিক্রিমেন্ট করলো।
This push instruction actually সেটা হয়তো হতো, কিন্তু push instruction whatever the processor is designed to perform push, they have designed in that manner anyway. In every processor, push instruction is executed in this manner. You are telling first store, then decrement, then again store, then decrement. If the mechanism is maintained in that way, then probably it is possible. But actually, in all processor, they have designed the processor in such a way that push will be executed in that. First decrement, then store. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
হ্যালো স্যার, আচ্ছা স্যার, আপনি টাইম ডিলের সময় যেটা বললেন যে 1.5 ms, এবার ধরুন স্যার আমার এমন একটা কেস আসলো যে আমি হয় 1.5 এর বেশি পাচ্ছি নয় 1.5 এর কম পাচ্ছি, মানে সেক্ষেত্রে আমি কোন টাইম ডিলেটা ধরবো?
না, বুঝলাম না।
মানে স্যার ধরুন স্যার আমি এমন একটা ভ্যালু ক্যালকুলেট করলাম যেটার
হ্যাঁ,
জন্য
বুঝতে পেরেছি। যেটার জন্য নয়, তুমি হয়তো ক্যালকুলেট করে একটা নিয়ারেস্ট ভ্যালুটা দিতে হবে তোমাকে। ধরো it has been told that you write a delay program of 1.5 millisecond. For that you have calculated the value of x, right? And in decimal first you will calculate. Suppose this value is coming that 25.5 fraction is coming, but you have to convert it into hexadecimal, then store in the register pair. But you cannot store in the BC register pair a fractional value, you cannot store. Then you have to remove that. So nearest integer value you have to convert it into hexadecimal and store. In that case, if it is more than 5, take it 26. In that case, probably we will get more delay, 1.5 plus some error will be there, delta error. And if it is suppose coming 25.2 in decimal, you convert in hexadecimal, considering as 25. Then you will get 1.5 minus a delta. Minus a delta. That is that approximation you have to do. You have to take the nearest integer value and convert it into hexadecimal and put it there. It may be that it is not actual 1.5, some microsecond mismatch will be there. You have to consider it. Because you are calculating, you have got an equation, decimal equation, it may come, x value may come as fraction, but you cannot take it as hexadecimal in register case. So nearby, the nearest round up decimal you have to consider and convert into hexadecimal and store. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay.
স্যার বলছি ক্যাপিটাল টি এর ভ্যালুটা কত স্যার?
Hey, capital data key.
স্যার
Yeah.
ওই
Capital data key.
ওটা তো স্যার ওই মাইক্রোওয়েভ সাইকেলটা মানে
Time period of the clock.
কম্পিউটারটা ক্লক, হ্যাঁ
সেটা তো তুমি জানো, তোমাকে বলে দেবে ওটা। নরমালি
ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি স্যার কত হয়? হ্যাঁ কত স্যার?
ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি বলে দিল তোমাকে, যদি না বলে দেয় you have to consider it as 3 megahertz. If no data is mentioned regarding T, then by default you have to take it as 3 megahertz. Otherwise, in problem it will be mentioned. Value of T is 0.3 microsecond or 0.5 microsecond. It will be mentioned in the problem. If it is not mentioned in the problem, the value of T, by default you consider F equal to 3 megahertz, so T equal to 0.33 microsecond. Clear? Otherwise, normally in every problem, T value is given. And if it is not given, take the default value F equal to 3 megahertz, so T equal to 1 by 3 megahertz means 0.33 microsecond. Clear?
হ্যালো
Okay,
স্যার,
হ্যাঁ
স্যার আপনি যেটা বলেছিলেন না আইএনআর বা হচ্ছে অ্যাড এগুলোর 4 টি স্টেটস লাগে, তো স্যার ওই বুকটা যেটা আপনি দিয়েছিলেন সেখানে না আমি আইএনআর এমটা দেখলাম, ওখানে ওটা 10 টি স্টেটস দেওয়া ছিল। স্যার কি করে হলো ওটা? এম
বুঝলাম না। আয়না
এম
হ্যাঁ
ওটা 10 টি স্টেটস দেওয়া ছিল আনসারে। স্যার 10 কি করে আসলো স্যার?
you tell me INR M means key, what it will do? It will increment the value of memory by 2. That means you have to know the machine cycle. First, you have to know the machine cycle involved in it. Directly, you cannot tell about each step. I told you the sequence. First, you find out what are the machine cycle involved in it. What are the machine cycle involved in it? Then you tell me find out the key step. Tell me what are the machine cycle involved in it. What is the INR? First, find out. Think what are the machine cycle? By considering what is the function of this instruction, it will decrement the content of a memory register by 1 if it is BCR or increment for INR. Now to execute these instructions, what are the machine cycle involved? Try to find out. Tell me what are the first machine cycle involved for it.
স্যার ফার্স্ট তো অপকোড ফেচই হবে।
This is a 1 byte instruction. Okay, now 1 minute. Don't try to estimate the T state directly, okay? INR M, okay? Of course, before that there is instruction LXI 8, suppose 8000. This is address here, suppose 05 is there. After executing INR M, what happens? This will become 06. How? INR M, this is a 1 byte instruction. 1 byte instruction means what is the value of the byte? Of course, it is only opcode. Opcode is there. Now try to estimate the machine cycle involved in it. So you told that first machine cycle will be opcode fetch. Okay. How much T state? You know it is 4 T state. Okay. Then, so INR after performing opcode fetch, what happens? This is suppose this instruction is INR. This instruction is stored at 9000. So after performing this opcode fetch, what happens? What processor is doing basically? It is reading this opcode and it is decoded. Now after that, I have told you, you think of what is the function of the instruction. Is the function of the instruction is completed within this fourth state of time? I told you that after reading, because after performing opcode fetch within fourth state of time, it is basically completing the reading of the instruction. This instruction is read by the processor. After reading the instruction, you have to think whether the operation of this instruction is completed within this time or not. For that, what you have to consider? If the meaning of this instruction is that it is operation is performed within the processor, I told you no, it will not take any extra time. Within this time, operation will be performed. But if the meaning of the instruction is such that it has to perform operation with an external device like memory or IO, within this fourth state of time, it will not perform it. Extra time it will take. Now see, after performing opcode fetch instruction, 1 byte instruction is read. Now think what is the function of this instruction? Tell me what is the function, what it will do? Is it performing operation internally or external operation? Yes, this instruction has to do.
স্যার ওই মেমোরিতে 5টাকে 6 করবে।
তার মানে কি অপারেশনটা কি আছে, whether this operation will be performed with an internal data or external data?
এক্সটার্নাল ডেটা।
external
If the function of the instruction is such that he has to perform operation with external data, within this time it is not done. Extra time is required. Now think how much extra time it takes. For that you see, think of the process, how this data can be incremented by 1. How memory will be incremented by 1? Tell me. For that you again, I have explained how DCR C will become C minus 1. How it is done? Remember how this C becomes C minus 1? It is a
Sir, স্যার ওই কন্টেন্টটা সেটা অ্যাকুমুলেটরে নিয়ে যেতে হবে, তাকে এটাকে মাইনাস
increment করে আবার এটা সিতে শিফট হয়।
হ্যাঁ ঠিক কথা।
Same thing will be done in that case also INR-M. তাহলে কি করতে হবে এখানে INR-M মানে এবার কি হবে, ইনস্ট্রাকশনটা রিড করেছি, এবার অপারেশনটা করতে হবে এই মেমরি ডেটার উপরে ডিক্রিমেন্ট, কি হবে এবার বলো?
স্যার এই 5টাকে অ্যাকুমুলেটরে নিতে হবে।
এটাকে অ্যাকুমুলেটরে মুভ করতে হবে। হোয়াট মেশিন সাইকেল ইট ইজ?
স্যার রিড।
মুভ অপারেশন, হ্যাঁ
রিড স্যার।
memory read, that means another machine cycle involved to transfer the data of memory into accumulator for decrementation. Memory read, each processor has to do how much time? 80. So now once the data is comes into the accumulator, now accumulator will become A minus 1 internally, no extra time. So that means it becomes 4, where it is? Now this 4 where it is still out? In accumulator. But you want that memory content should be 4. How memory content will be 4? Yes, again this accumulator will be moved into memory. Here, what machine cycle it is called? Memory. Right. How much time? 80. Total 10T. Now the operation is complete. It is 4. Clear? Think of it that only reading of instruction is not instruction cycle. Means total time. Instruction cycle means total time. Instruction cycle, I told you, time required to complete the execution of an instruction. Its operation must be completed. Though INR-M is a 1 byte instruction, you may think that only opcode fetch is involved because it is 1 byte. No. In 1 byte, only instruction is read. After reading instruction, think of the operation of the instruction. Is the operation involved with outside data or inside data? If it is inside data, within inside the processor, no other machine cycle required. But if the operation of the instruction is with other data externally, then think of what other machine cycle definitely required. Like that, memory data first move into accumulator for decrementation. Memory read. After decrement, again this code should be moved into memory. Memory write. So total 10. Clear?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, তাহলে স্যার এই ডিসিএক্স এর মধ্যে 7 না হয় 6 হয়ে গেল কেন স্যার? ওটা তো 4 প্লাস
ওটা 7 না, ওটা কোনো এক্সট্রা মেশিন সাইকেল লাগছে নাকি ওখানে? 6 money it is not another extra machine cycle. It is within the opcode phase machine cycle, but with a long time because it has to perform internally the DCX operation twice. That's why it is taking some extra time to perform the internal operation twice. It is not any external operation. DCXB operation will be done internally. Normally you think that why extra time? So no machine cycle, that's why no extra machine cycle is added, only opcode phase. But opcode phase with not 4 T state, opcode with 6 T state, because this 2 additional T state is required by the 8085 processor to perform the DC decrement operation twice inside the processor. Yeah. It is not an additional machine cycle like this memory read or like so that extra 3T or something will be added. No. Only opcode fetch with 60.
স্যার মানে ডিসিএক্স টা ইন্টারনাল অপারেশনই হচ্ছে?
Of course, no extra machine cycle is added. DCXB, it is having only one machine cycle with opcode fetch. No other. But its exception is it is having opcode fetch with 6 state, not 4. Like that, other instructions with INX etc. also will take opcode fetch with 6 state. In the Gauker's books backside where instructions are given, there all the T states are mentioned, which instruction will take how much T state. Clear? Okay, thank you.
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।